Best.Podcast.Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
If people have a project or they need help, we want them to know that we're here, and all they have to do is ask.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the best podcast ever. We are here with Justin Ryan and Mark George of the Bainbridge Civic Club. Gentlemen, say hello.
Greetings.
Hello.
All right. Justin, you are the president. Is that true? You look like a president.
Do I?
I could see that.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mark, you are the corporate secretary. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I love that position.
Yeah. I've got some really important questions about the Bainbridge Civic Club. What is it?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a group of people, primarily men, within the Auburn-Bainbridge communities that look out for the welfare of others in the community. And we do that by fundraising events such as the Pancake breakfast or the Taste of Bainbridge. And we support people in the community through scholarships for students, helping people in need if they need money, support.
We've bought fuel oil for people, heaters, appliances.
Okay.
Our slogan, or tagline, if you will, is neighbors helping neighbors. So that's really what we're all about, is trying to help the neighbors and help the people in the community or the community itself.
And how many members in the Bainbridge Civic Club, approximately?
We're probably like 50 to 60 and good 25 active.
Okay. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, more important questions. Who wins in the following competitions between Bainbridge Township and Chagrin Falls Village? Egg toss.
I'm going to say Bainbridge Township in everything that you're about to ask.
Well, let's take this one at a time, and there's a reason I'm going through this. Tug of war.
We have more people, so I would think us.
Yeah.
Okay. Softball.
Oh, definitely us.
Flag football.
Same.
Pie eating.
No, they would win that.
Interesting.
They have more restaurants.
More restaurants. Okay. All right. Go with that.
So, has anyone thought of a little friendly township versus village competition? Because if not, I'm going to start the smack talking right now.
That's a good idea.
That is.
Because we actually did a little something last year as a bicentennial for the township, and we put together a softball team. You had to be 55 and over, and we played these ringers from Solon called the Babes. And these guys are like 70 years old and are popping it over the fence and everything. But I think we're up for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I went to Italy like 2 years ago. And we went to, you guys ever been to Italy?
Yes. No.
Siena. Did you go to Siena?
No.
All right. Have you heard of this? In Siena, they've got a horse race. They have 17 neighborhoods in the city of Siena. And they have a horse race that goes back like 500 years, and it's called the Palio. There's a really great documentary about it. It's neighborhood versus neighborhood, and it is the most competitive event. They hire mercenaries from other countries to ride these horses. There's like corporate espionage involved. They bring in these horses and they store them in their churches. They bless the horses. It's the craziest thing. So as I was preparing for today's podcast, I was thinking, we could start kind of like a paleo situation between Chagrin Falls Village and Bainbridge Township, except maybe in not horse racing.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
All right.
Feats of strength, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe we could take on the Jaycees or something.
Oof. There's so much potential here.
There is.
Yeah.
Rotary Club. We got a whole bunch of organizations.
We're talking about it. Let's talk about it some more. How long is the Civic Club been around?
41?
Yes, 1941.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time.
It was funny. I did a breakfast with the chamber with Molly for nonprofits, and we went up there and said, for a group that's been around since 1941, most of you don't even know who we are. You know our events,
Yeah.
but you don't know who we are, and you don't know what we do with the money that we raise, and that's so true. And that's why we've been trying to get involved more with the chamber and things like this.
Yeah. And then I was looking on the website. I mean, you've got like Pancake breakfast. There's other events that you guys sponsor throughout the year, right? Like, what are we talking about?
Right. So Pancake breakfast is our oldest and greatest. It's probably been going on, we tried to narrow it down, early 50s, I would say.
Okay.
It sort of started out as a...
1952.
52, there you go. And I think it even goes back to late 40s within the club. There was a gentleman that's Taylor May's named after, Farmer Taylor.
Yeah.
And he had a maple syrup farm. And so somebody else had some wheat or whatever, and they made some pancakes. And they had a pancake dinner for the men in the club after the monthly meeting. And I guess a couple of them said, hey, we should take this to the community. This has a potential to be a good way to involve the community and raise some funds. And that's how it sort of started in the early 50s.
When I drive down 306, every once in a while, I see something about an ox roast.
Yeah.
Is that you guys too?
That's
It
us.
is.
What's that involved?
Well, first off, I'm glad you saw our sign. That's very important.
It's pretty prominent.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, it's out there. You can't miss it. You guys do a good job with signage. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ox Road is the newest event,
Right.
And we think it has the most potential. We're always looking to grow the events or do something because the more we can do, the more people we get, the more things we can help. So like last year, we got a liquor license and we had a beer tent, added some cornhole, and we're thinking of maybe trying to get a craft show or something in there this year, and not have the ox dinner and ox sandwich be the main focus. But we think there's a lot of potential to grow that event.
So when you hear ox roast, what do you think of?
I think of roasting an ox.
Like on a spit, like a pig, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right.
Is that not how
No,
it
that's not how it's done. And we have found that people are sometimes disappointed by the fact that they come in and there's not an actual giant beef on a spit.
Because if anything, it kind of just makes you curious. Cause
Right.
You've never been to an ox roast, but you've been to a pig roast.
Right.
But yeah.
But it's still a very cool process. So we basically take 30 pounds chunks of meat, which would basically be like a giant chuck roast.
All right.
Usually split them into two, wrap them in foil, and then we dig a pit and we throw hundreds of pallets on top of it, create this bonfire that cooks down to like 2-3 feet of coals. And then when they cool down to a certain point in the evening, we load all those roasts directly on top of the coals.
Wow.
Cover it with steel, cover it with dirt so that it's basically a in-ground oven. And then the next morning we pull them out and slice them, and that becomes the beef for the event.
And are there ancillary activities? I think I heard you say cornhole. Is there a band? Sure.
Yeah, typically we have a band. It's changed over the years. We've had some local bands play. We've had some actually really good student bands that have almost volunteered their time and turned out to be really great additions to the event.
There's been a big one that you started off as doing with the fun run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were trying to think of, we do it at Centerville Mills Park in Bainbridge, which the township purchased, 10, 15 years ago or so from the YMCA. And a lot of people didn't really use the park other than if they got drug into an event or something like that over there. So we thought it was a good idea to showcase the park. And one of the ways to do that was to create a run that goes around the perimeter of the park. Mm-hmm. So I partnered with a good friend of mine, Coach Chris Ickes, coaches the Kenston cross-country and track teams, and he's been a great partner to help bring kids and community members in. And this last 2 years, we've had about 100 people running the fun run.
People haven't been over there. They just redid the lodge a couple of years ago. They added a dog park this year. It's really a great facility. It's available to rent out for weddings and everything, but it's a little gem in the township that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah. They got that pond right out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
My 14-year-old, when he was 8, I took him fishing over there, and he pulled a fish out, and it freaked him out so much. He was flopping around so much, and that was the last time he fished. It's a cool pond, though.
Yeah, there's actually a waterfall back there.
Is there?
It's blocked off, and you're not supposed to be able to get to it. But yeah,
you can stand up top.
Beautiful waterfall.
There used to be like a similar decking that you have in Chagrin Falls where you could view the falls.
Yeah.
It just sort of fell out of disrepair, was out of code, and it was sort of too much to upgrade. And then just became a liability. But you can still walk over and look at it from the top. There used to be an old mill, Centerville Mills, as to why it was named there.
Got it. Yeah. All right. So we talked about the ox roast. We talked about the pancake breakfast. What else are we talking about throughout the year?
We do another little one, and we just run a concession stand during the 4th of July.
Okay.
And, we try to, unlike going to the ballpark, we try to provide some affordable hot dogs and burgers and stuff for the folks that come down there, and whatever's left over, we, either donate to the township or we've given it to the parks and things like that. So that's a little mini event. And then our other big one is the Taste of Bainbridge. That's been around for a long time. Actually, that started out, I had to do some research a long time ago. That started out as a spaghetti dinner back in 1986. And then it changed over to Taste of Bainbridge in 97. And this year, that one we're limited on. You could only fit so many people into the venue. It's been at the athletic club the last couple of years. So like, well, what can we do? And it was actually Christi was working us over after selling a whole bunch of tables. And when we got done with the raffles, everybody left. She's got to do something. You got to do something to keep them here. So she's always trying to do dancing, and I'm not going to dance with her. So we could dance all you want. I'm not going out there. But we had it at a casino this year, and it was packed. There was just a buzz in there.
Of course. Right.
And so like next year, we'll keep that casino open 3 hours. We'll make sure the bar stays open the whole 3 hours. And we're really working on our social media to let more people know about this. But that was a hit. That was a big hit.
Is there a chili cook-off as part of it?
No. That's the Jaycees.
The Jaycees do
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Got it.
Similar time of year.
Yeah, well, we think about those things. What else can we do? But we don't want to, Molly did a really good thing with putting that calendar in there so we could see when other people's events are. And why do a chili contest? They're already doing it.
Sure.
Well, if we add something, it'll be something different so we're not competing with the other nonprofits and groups around here.
What are you guys both Kenston guys?
I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so not me.
You are.
I'm a lifer.
Okay.
Well, I did a 10-year stint in Texas, but I matriculated back. Yeah.
Did either of you guys go to Canton on Friday?
We were both there.
You were both there?
Oh,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I didn't go.
It was a hoot. It was a hoot.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And it was totally great. They were undaunted by the other guys scoring that touchdown. They just methodically.
Yeah.
Last 2 games, 40 plus points.
Yeah.
Did you catch our kicker? Became the first female, right, in history to get a point in the championship game.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Yeah, it was great to see our guys win. So, what inspired you to get involved in the Civic Club? I mean, did you wake up one day and have this thought, or?
I could tell you, and this shocked these guys. Christi and I are always talking about, okay, we got to give back. We got to find something, soup kitchen, something to do. So in our quest, we kept seeing this ox roast sign every year. I said, let's go see what this ox roast is all about. And I get up there, and there's all these guys in blue shirts, and it turned out to be the Civic Club. So I met some of the guys, and they seemed like they had a lot of fun, and they were doing a lot of good things. So they said, hey, why don't you just stop by? So I just showed up at a meeting, and they all looked at me dumbfounded. I walked in. What do you mean? You want to join? I said, yeah. Well, we were always trying to recruit, but you're just joining? I said, absolutely. And it's awesome. I mean, we work really hard, and we play hard afterwards. We have a lot of fun when we're done. But like that pancake breakfast, and we have to haul all the griddles, all the dishes, everything's over in town hall in the basement. And we haul it over on the Saturday before the first event and empty out their kitchen and put in gas manifolds and everything and get it all ready. Then we cook. And then at the end, we're there at 6 a.m. till 1. And then we have to take it apart, put it out in the hallway, put the cafeteria back together for the school. And a lot goes into that. But it's for good cause. How about you? How did you get in there?
I got involved when I moved back from Texas. My wife and I were really involved in Special Olympics when we were down there. And then when our kids were real young or before they were born. And then we started getting involved in kids sports. And I was recruited by a member that was already active for some time. He said, hey, got this cool group. You should show up and check it out. And I showed up the week before Pancake Breakfast started, not knowing what I was getting myself into. And then, like Mark sort of explained, Pancake Breakfast is very rigorous. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of stations. There's a lot of moving parts.
Right.
But everybody has been doing these for 30 years, so everyone knows their job and their station, what they're supposed to do. So the new guy that nobody knows that shows up is just getting in the way. So I was trying not to get in the way or ask too many questions. So I filled some syrup bottles, I think, and bust some dishes and acclimated myself that way.
Yeah. I got to tell you, so I would imagine that if you're new to the neighborhood and you want to know, or you would like to feel a little bit less like a stranger, an organization like this would be something good to get involved in. A good way to meet your neighbors, learn about what's going on in the community, right? Fair statement?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's one of the main goals, right? Is neighbor to neighbor, face-to-face interactions, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. And so you're having these events, you're partying together, for lack of a better phrase. You're also doing charity work to some extent. And let's talk about that. How does that fit in? What do you guys do to help people who are in need?
Most of our events have direct tie-ins. So the Taste of Bainbridge, when, like Mark mentioned, when it started as spaghetti dinner, the whole purpose was to raise funds for a food bank in Bainbridge that hadn't started yet.
Right.
I think it came about a couple years after the first spaghetti dinner. So since that was paired with that at the beginning, it's always been a 50-50 split with the food bank. So any money we raise, we give half the money to the Bainbridge Area Food for Friends.
Okay. Is that related to the Geauga County Food Bank? Or is it the same thing?
We're sort of I don't know how their funds are tied necessarily. It's a satellite office.
Okay.
I mean, we don't just serve Bainbridge. We serve people from all over.
Got it.
I'm sure there's, I don't think they get funds from them, but they help people learn how to get funds if they need them from the county level. But they're pretty much completely self-sufficient.
Got it.
They raise their own funds. They get their own food.
Okay. So you're raising money for Food for Friends.
Right.
Right. What else are we talking about?
Bunch of scholarships.
Okay.
How many are we up to? $1,000 scholarships.
I think we're up to about 12 a year for graduating seniors.
Great.
And then people will come to us too. We had a gal who I think she went to Kenston. She's in college now, and she was going on a mission to South America. And she came and told the club what she was doing, and we donated some money to sponsor her down there. The cross country team, we just paid for their their send-off breakfast. I got a couple of lists because I could never remember them on the new guy. But like some of the things we did, we were involved helping with the lights for the original Kenston football stadium. We provided night binoculars for the police department a long time back. Resuscitation Annie for the fire department. Band uniforms, flagpoles, furniture, a furnace for the township. Mentioned earlier, we've helped Santa and the Easter Bunny show up. We've helped families by paying their utility bills, purchasing fuel oil, buying appliances. We do the Sponsor Family Christmas program. And, one of the reasons we really want to do this is there's other things we could do. If people have a project or they need help, we want them to know that we're here, and all they have to do is ask. Not like we have an unlimited budget, but more than likely we'll have something and find a way to be able to help them.
What are the Civic Club's goals for 2019? To the extent that they're different from anything you've done in the past.
That's a good one. I would say there's three big ones. Chime in if I forget one.
Okay.
I'm really trying to promote awareness. So we'd love to get some more new members. And even if they can't make that commitment, and it's not a big commitment, you don't have to come to every meeting. We have some of the old timers. We only see them at Pancake Breakfast. We would love some members or volunteer. We started a sponsorship program this year. We used to just have people, they wanted to, they would sponsor the Taste of Bainbridge.
Right.
This year we said you could sponsor any event for like $250, Or you could sponsor the club for the whole year for $1,000. And it came with a lot of benefits. 2 free tickets to every event, your name on a banner, names on the placemats, electronic advertising, a literature table, so on and so forth. So getting that awareness out so we can get more people at the events. And I'd love everybody to go and like our Facebook page. We just started it, and we just did a lighting ceremony for the first time ever. And we were thinking, oh boy, we might have 50 people there, who knows? And we hit it pretty hard on there, and 200 to 300 people showed up. We were amazed, and I think the social media is helping that.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know businesses and organizations that depend on word of mouth, right? Which most of us do. Most of our businesses and organizations that we work for do. So you've got to be involved in social media. It's we've gotten a lot of mileage out of it for some of the things we work on here at the law firm, and it's a process. It's a constant feeding of that machine, but it works.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the football game.
Yeah,
I was sitting down there, and I decided to start doing live updates.
Yeah,
like
on Twitter?
No, on Facebook.
On Facebook,
so I was posting stuff. Got a good picture of Anna nailing a field, an extra point and everything. Start doing it. That drew a lot of people to the page.
Yep,
it was pretty amazing.
Nice.
We were probably a little late to the social media game as far as a club and as an organization, and I think Mark and I are probably the 2 biggest proponents of it. But a lot of the guys thought that the club has survived for all these years by just someone invites their son or someone invites their neighbor or something like that, and we just can't rely on that anymore. And we've struggled with it, to be honest. We just have not brought the same amount of people in that we would like. And so I think Mark's done an amazing job this last year really trying to push it out there and promote it. And I think this first holiday lighting thing is a testament to your reach of something like that, because the amount of people that showed up far exceeded everyone's expectations, and that's the only way you can reach them that level.
If you had a magic wand and you could grant any Civic Club wish, right, for 2019, right, with a measurable result, what would it be?
Mine would be 10 to 15 new active members.
Okay.
Because Mark and we have a marketing committee we started a couple years ago, and we had some amazing ideas come out of this marketing committee of how to grow the club, how to grow our reach, some concepts and ideas for the township that we could really make a lasting impact on. And they all came down to, we need person A, B, or C to really run with that, like a subcommittee to deal with it. And I think we could really take the club and the community to the next level if we just had a few more people really helping out, that we could break things into subcommittees, have people run off and work on them, come up with new ideas, brainstorm, maybe even change the traditional way we've done things over and over to have that new perspective of maybe something we hadn't thought of before.
Right. Good. What'd you go with, Mark?
This would tie into that, but I'd like to have 1,000 likes by the end of the year on the Facebook page, because that'll help us with members. It'll help awareness and get more people to the events. Even get some ideas on things we could do with the money or things we could do to make the Ox Roast better. So, to really keep this club going on into the future, we need new members and we need awareness in the community. It's a great giving community that we're around. They just don't know, and we have to figure out how to tell them.
Are there dues?
$10.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's easy.
The dues, it's always been $10. It probably should be more at this point. But that number was set up when you had to buy stamps and stationery to remind people of meetings. Since we've basically got rid of that, it goes into the entertainment fund, if you will, for after meetings.
Gotcha. Very important. Got to keep morale high.
Right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back. Hey, folks. Thanks for listening to our podcast. I hope you've been enjoying it. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about Cover My 6. For my fellow veterans out there, and for those of you in law enforcement, you already know what Cover My 6 means. And for the rest of you out there, it means cover my butt, and that's what we do for our clients. I've been litigating business cases for many years, and here's what I've learned about them. First, they're not fun for my clients. Even when lawyers knock it out of the park for them, business owners and professionals in litigation find it stressful, distracting, time-consuming, and expensive. Second, I believe almost all business lawsuits and investigations are totally preventable. Third, almost every business lawsuit and investigation has focused on some combination of 6 key relationships. Those with customers, vendors, employees, shareholders, insurance companies, and technology. Knowing these 3 things, we created Cover My 6 to optimize those 6 areas for businesses of all sizes. We create and facilitate the company's key documents, and we optimize their policies and practices in those 6 areas so that their owners and employees can focus their time and attention and money where they should, on making and selling their products and growing their business, not on lawyers and courtrooms and lawsuits. So go to covermy6.com to learn more about this service. I'm really proud of it, and there's nothing else out there that's like it. Our clients love it too. They get security and peace of mind from it, and I know you will too. Go to covermy6.com to learn more. We are back. Justin, Mark, you guys ready for the lightning round?
I think so.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal. If Molly were sitting here, she'd be asking you her lightning round questions. I'd be asking mine next because Molly always goes first because she's smarter than me. So I'm going to try to replicate Molly's lightning round questions in a way that makes her not mad at me.
Okay.
All right? So if Molly were sitting here, the first lightning round question she would have for you is, what are you binging? What are you binging?
Oh, binge watching? Binging. I haven't binged anything in a long time. Maybe the last time I binged something was Game of Thrones.
Yeah?
I was a little late to that party. And once I started watching, it was like we probably went through 2 seasons in a weekend.
Was that recently?
Oh, maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
We got caught up on it. And we binged that, and what was that darn show over in England that's off now?
Downton Abbey?
Downton Abbey, yeah. That was unbelievable, yeah.
Man, I think people are wired differently. I find both of those shows totally unwatchable. But people swear by them. They're like these sensations.
There's another one. This one would work too, and it's appropriate. I fell in love with Friday Night Lights. I don't know where I was when that show came out, but I missed it. But once I started watching that, I couldn't get enough of that show.
Yeah, I'd buy that. Justin?
Yeah, sadly, no binging for me. I find myself just busy with so many different little things in life that I either watch 30-minute sitcoms as they're on or maybe off a DVR, and sports because I do enjoy sports, but sports is great because you can come in and out and you still get the gist of what's going on. Like you're not missing a major plot twist or anything like that. So yeah, so I end up just, I would say sports, I guess, in general, but...
My girlfriend and I just finished all 3 seasons of Fargo. Have you guys ever seen that?
I heard it's really good, but I don't watch
pieces of it. I've heard that, but basically it starts over every season, right? Like it's a whole new cast. And
yeah, there's some carryover, but you don't need it. Do you like any of the Ethan or any of the Coen brothers movies?
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, so they made Fargo, the movie, and then they made the series, although it has very little to do with the movie, but I would recommend that to anybody. Fargo, seasons 1 through 3, fantastic. Awesome. I just remembered, Molly has notes of her questions right here. Look at this.
Uh-oh.
All right, cheat sheet.
All right. Thank goodness. All right. A perfect day for you is... Go.
I don't get anything added to my to-do list from Christi, my wife.
She's definitely listening, too. You got that, Christi? Leave Mark alone.
Good luck with that.
We love Christi. We actually named a lightning round question after Christi. So you're gonna get the Christi here shortly.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, Justin.
For me, probably be a get up early, have a nice round of golf, and spend some time with the family in the afternoon, maybe have a nice dinner.
Okay. That sounds like a good, perfect day. One song I hope I never have to hear again is...
Maggot Brain.
Ooh.
Really?
Maggot Brain.
What's wrong with the little...
Don't like it.
Wow. The Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah.
Well, it was before they were the Funkadelic, but it's just...
P-Funk or George Clinton.
It's early George Clinton.
Really? That song is...
No.
It's weird. No, it's a weird song, absolutely.
It's got... Yeah, it's like... Plus, it's like 40 minutes long every time. Right?
Does 98.5 still play it at midnight on Saturday? That used to be the thing they did.
I don't know.
Mark's not listening if they are.
No, I'm not. No, I think I'd listen to Dr. Demento before I go to Maggot Brain.
Justin?
I'm going to keep it seasonal and say that that Mariah Carey Christmas song.
Okay.
That, what is it? All I Want for Christmas is You or whatever.
Yeah.
And not that it's awful or it's fine, but it seems like every December I hear it 1,000 times.
Right.
And I always think, why can't someone come up with a new Christmas song? Or holiday song or seasonal song or anything?
Yeah.
Because
they're it's all about remakes, right? It's all about recreating it with whoever's hot these days.
Where's the new Burl Ives?
Yeah. Mine would be whatever the last Pixar movie I saw with the kids, because then it's on replay in the car for the next month and a half.
Oh, yeah.
You guys got kids?
Yeah. So like the Frozen song,
Yeah, I want to. I want to put a gun in my mouth sometimes when I hear "Let It Go."
Yeah,
you know.
The granddaughters. We get a good dose of that from her.
Yeah, right now, although the movie is really good, it's that. Smallfoot. How old are your kids?
15 and almost 15 and 11.
All right, you're past the Smallfoot.
Yeah.
Your grandkids.
4, just over 4. So yeah, that'll be one to have her watch. That.
The movie's actually really good, but after like 2 days of playing the soundtrack, it's over. You're done. All right. Lastly, from Molly, Justin, what do you do for a living?
I work for Verizon. I'm a network engineer with Verizon.
Okay. Mark?
I'm currently looking, but generally I'm either running the sales team, running operations, or both as a general manager. But,
got it. Justin, if I wasn't a network engineer for Verizon, I would be...
would like to run a nonprofit.
Ooh, good. Like what kind of nonprofit?
That's a good question. That's probably why I'm not running a nonprofit right now. But I think after, 20-some years in the general workforce, large company workforce, you don't get as much reward out of your day-to-day.
Yeah.
You do good work and you help people, but it's not quite the same. And I think through the years of doing this with the Civic Club and some other things I've been involved in, that just seems like much more rewarding work. So, my wife's always been involved in special education, and we talked about things like housing for people that are transitioning from students to adults,
right.
Services that help families with that, with kids that become adults that need services for the rest of their lives, and what happens if mom and dad are gone. And I think there's lots of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But someday I'll narrow it down and pick one.
Well, so you're president of the Civic Club. That's kind of like running a nonprofit.
Sort of, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you said earlier that you were involved in the Special Olympics?
Yeah, back in Texas. We were involved with the Special Olympics for many years. We'd joined, they were real small, which is funny. The town we were in was Frisco, which is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. It's like 100 people a week move into this exurb of Dallas because it's 60 miles north. It's not even a suburb anymore.
Yeah.
But when we started there, it was real small, and there was even a small special needs community that Special Olympics had started, but they basically just did bowling. So we started the basketball team and the golf team, and we started a golf tournament to raise funds for it and really expanded it, and they've taken it and run, and they're doing great.
Mark, if I wasn't a general manager, I would be
I would teach math or science at a high school and coach football and baseball.
Perfect. Not too late, Mark.
They're always looking.
It's just kind of tough to go back at that starting salary with no experience and everything. So it always says the timing was never right. Like getting out of high school, there was a glut of teachers. So the supply demand curve was no good. I had another opportunity. I was like, I can't take an 80% pay cut.
Yeah.
But that just seems you're not going to reach them all. But if you could reach one, you make a difference in one person's life. That's a good year. Right. And I would love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I was talking to a client today, and I really believe this. Among the most backwards things in our country is that we don't pay teachers who have what they're worth when they have such direct impact on the future of this country. And every single person, I bet you guys can think of this right now, every single person had some teacher that said something to them that like propelled them into their career or helped them get out of trouble or helped them, just create their value system or whatever. And we pay them, we just don't incentivize people to go into that field the way we do entertainment, sports, anything else.
What's wrong with that picture?
Backwards.
And think about it, right? Do you know why I don't know if they've got out of this or not yet, but the nursing shortage, right? For forever, there's been a shortage of nursing. Why? Because there's not enough nursing teachers because they make more money doing something else.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things, it goes back to Facebook, but I'm reading this post a couple of years ago, and I see this name. I'm like, I wonder if that's my 7th and 8th grade science teacher that was also the baseball coach. So I instant message him, and sure enough, it's him. So we connect 40-some years later. But the rewarding thing is I got to tell him what a difference he made in my life, not only as a teacher, but I learned more about baseball in 7th and 8th grade than I did all the way through college from those two guys.
Yeah.
They were just a godsend, and I never forget it. And it kind of made my day when I got to see him afterwards and tell him. Yeah. I said, guess what? I got my degree in chemistry. My first degree was in chemistry. He goes, we never know what happens because we lose touch with everybody. So it was kind of nice to go full circle and find them again.
We had this, we had a guest on early on. This is like our 65th episode now. But early on, we had a guy on named Rob Sapp. Who is a Broadway actor now, but I think he came up through the Chagrin Falls School District, and he now is a theater director in this area. He helps direct the whatever the high school performances are in Chagrin Falls and around the community theaters. And he said something that really has resonated with me, that stayed with me, that really describes the impact that teachers have on students. To your point, Mark. Helping students realize that they're worthy, that what they have to say is meaningful. Giving students a feeling of importance, like that feeling, that emotion is so rare, and you don't really get that in a lot of other professions, right? Especially professions that depend on money, depend on you getting out there and making money. I'm telling you, if I had a magic wand, my magic wand would change the incentive structure in America for incentivizing and rewarding good teaching.
I would support that. I'll tell you something else, too. We've heard the theory dumbing down of America, right? And sometimes I don't think it's a theory. Yeah. I mean, go on there. It's like you go on to Facebook. Somebody puts a simple math equation on there, and people don't know the orders of operations. Right. It's not algebra. You can't do it. So, you get all depressed. One of the cool things is we get a lot of volunteers at our events from Kenston High School. Yep. We get it from their honor society. We get it from different groups. And last year, who was a little girl? She was a freshman. I can't remember her name. Cute as could be. She was all A's. She already knew she was going to be an engineer, a bio-engineer. She was in 5 or 6 extracurricular activities, and she was a freshman. She had her next 8 years mapped out, and there's a bunch of them like that. We get these kids; they come back every year. We have them coming back from college. If they're home, they come back on college, and they start out when they were a 9th grader. And they're smart, and you see that. And talk about feeling good, Alex. It's like, you know what? You hear all the bad stuff all the time in the news, but now you get to see these kids that are bright and sharp and already getting involved and helping, and it just makes you
it's gratifying.
Feel good to know that that's happening in your community.
Yeah, yeah. Before I forget, I'm going to ask you guys the Christi. Named in honor of your wife, Mark.
Oh, boy.
All right, so you got to get this right because she'll remember it forever.
She will.
If you could interview one person, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh, boy. It'd be a founding father for sure. So Ben Franklin or Thomas Jefferson, one of those two. Let's go with Ben.
All right. You a history buff?
I love history, especially the founding fathers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a buff. I've probably forgot a whole bunch of it, but back in the day, I knew this stuff. But those guys are just brilliant. And a couple great shows is Founding Fathers and then Founding Brothers a long time ago. The Founding Brothers showed that, hey, guess where their best ideas came out? The Philadelphia Tavern.
Yeah.
They're writing stuff on napkins and stuff. And, they were quite eccentric fellows, but, we were kind of blessed.
Yeah.
So I'd go back and talk to one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I share your interest. I can't get enough of Revolutionary War history. And Founding Brothers, Joseph Ellis wrote that book. One of the best books I've ever read. People forget that those guys were committing treason, punishable by death, for having and expressing the ideas that formed this country, and it was literally a life and death battle. Once they signed the Declaration of Independence, they were marked men, and I can't get enough of that stuff.
Did you catch, you could probably still get it, I think it was on American Movie Channel. It ended, but I think they had a 3-year run, Washington Spies. Did you see that?
I started watching it.
Oh, my God.
That's good stuff.
The last one, Washington didn't even know who they all were, and we just found what we think was the last one, 1941. That's how
right?
long that was
Wow.
a secret. And if you remember, we were getting shellacked in that war pretty good until we start getting some inside information.
Yeah.
And it was the Culpeper spy ring.
Yeah.
It was quite a good show to watch if you haven't seen it all.
Yeah. Justin, if you could interview any person, living or dead, who would they be?
I've been listening to your conversation and trying desperately to think of somebody that's not similar. Yeah, because I too love history, and I know more worthless knowledge than any human should. We'll turn Jeopardy on, and I'll answer half the questions. My kids will look at me like, "Why do you even know this? Where did you learn?" I said, "I don't know. I picked it up somewhere." Yeah, I was trying to think of Ben Franklin's a good one, just because he was such a man of so many different things. An inventor, an ambassador, a man of town, so to speak. He was a politician. He was so many different things, and I'm trying to think of somebody else along those lines, though. But he would be a good one, just to pick the brain of somebody that is involved in so many different aspects of life and has mastered them too, not just this, that, or the other. Everything the guy touched was just was amazing.
The post office, the fire department.
Yeah.
My God, capturing electricity in a bottle.
Yeah, I was at the library this weekend, and there's a book. I was with my daughter, and she was playing, and I opened this book up, and there's a fairly recent biography of the relationship between Ben Franklin and his son. Apparently, his son was a loyalist, and they were like best friends right up until the revolution broke out, and then his son went with the king, and Ben Franklin obviously didn't, and then he disowned him. And at one point, when it was going to be clear that the revolutionaries were going to win, George Washington pardoned Ben Franklin's son, but Ben Franklin never forgave him and didn't want to participate in the pardon. And they had this terrible rift. And that was the son who was in the key experiment with the kite.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, I'm probably mischaracterizing that book horribly, but it's something along those lines. It was just like this terrible father-son rift that tore families apart, you know?
We learned something pretty interesting. You know, when Christi and I got married, we were like, all right, we don't want a big affair. So we ended up getting married in Philadelphia behind the Independence Hall in the Rose Garden. Nice. It's easier to get my mom, and we loved history. But anyway, we took this little tour of Christ Church back there. And, you know, Philadelphia is just rocked with history and good food. So, I mean, you could spend a lot of time there and hit the shore. But anyway, they said Ben Franklin would always come into church late so he could sit in the back row. And, of course, it wasn't just random. He did it on purpose so that he could sneak out early without being seen.
Brilliant. All right. Those are good answers. Christi, I hope you're satisfied with the answers to your question. All right. Do you see the irony of the lightning round? There's nothing fast about it.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty
right.
methodical.
Yeah.
All right. Going to get to your question.
Yeah,
now?
Here's mine, right? You are shipwrecked on a desert island for a minimum of 3 months. It may be the rest of your life, or it may be just over 3 months. You may bring with you any single musician's entire discography. And that's all you're going to listen to for the rest of the time you're on that island. Who is the musician?
Well, Mark already said he's voting for George Clinton.
Right.
So Mark has already given
Starting
his
with Maggot Brain.
Yes, early George Clinton.
I got 3 people that come to mind because they're prolific. And so Paul Simon, Stephen Stills, or McCartney, because you get to go all the way back to Buffalo Springfield, the Beatles, and then the solo career. But I think Stephen Stills gives you the most diversity, and one of the best gifts Christi ever gave me was a Buffalo Springfield CD. I knew one song. I knew For What It's Worth or something like that, right? And I'm listening to this thing from 1967, 40 years later, 30 years later. I'm like, oh my God, they rock. It's still relevant. It's still unbelievable. And the next thing you know, I was out there getting everything that I could find from them. And then you look, right? You ever see those trees? Well, you went and had Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You went and had Poco. You went and had Neil Young. You went and had a whole bunch of those guys without Buffalo Springfield. So I'm going with Stephen Stills.
Do you know that you're the second person to say Stephen Stills?
No. Who else?
I can't remember who the other person is, but it has been said. The album that has Treetop Flyer on it. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a black and white.
Stills Alone.
Stills Alone. When I think of my teenage years, one of the first jobs I had was as I remember when they used to have full serve gas stations.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Full service, self service. So I was a pump jockey. I had to do full service, and for whatever reason, the mechanic I was 16 years old. He loved Stephen Stills. He had that on a loop, that album, and it still to this day, every time I even think of Stephen Stills, it brings back that my first job ever, summer of 1991, I don't know, 87.
Now, I'll get this for you.
Yeah.
Now, do you know, I mean, being into all that stuff, one day I'm looking for something and I see that Stephen Stills, right? We know Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, right?
Yes.
Right? So
of course.
That was Judy Collins. He was being a session guitarist for one of her albums. And when they got finished recording, he plopped down, he went to the sound recorder guy, and he gave him $200 and he said, just roll tape. And he started playing all these songs. So there was this is 1968, I think, 69, somewhere in there. Sweet Judy Blue Eyes is on there. And guess what else is on there? The Makings of Treetop Flyer.
Is that
Sounds
right?
a little bit like Black Queen. It's very funky. But he had that from the 60s, and we didn't get to finally hear it until the 90s. And if you want, I will put that on a thumb drive for you.
Interesting.
It's some pretty wild stuff. But yeah, I couldn't believe that he had that song almost done back then.
That's a great song. That's all about being a smuggler.
Yeah.
Being like a drug smuggler, right?
Yeah, but
Fascinating song.
I think he got the idea sitting at a bar, shocking, and he was talking to somebody that was a pilot in Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And he told him about doing that, and then of course when he came back from Vietnam, shocking, he became a drug smuggler and things like that. But I think that's how the song came.
It's a great song. Wow. All right, Justin.
Okay.
One musician that you may be listening to for the rest of your life, but you get their entire library.
Right. Difficult. I probably have a macro micro answer depending on which way I want to go.
I really like the show your work aspect to
right.
your answers, by the way.
Yeah, that's such a hard thing to be committal on, you know? Because you feel like 2 days in, you're going to go, I made the wrong choice.
Right?
I can't do this anymore.
You're stuck.
So macro answer would probably be Roger Waters, Pink Floyd, and doing the whole catalog of that. I've always enjoyed it. A little weird, a little different. It's evolved over time. My dad introduced me to them, but we sort of had a divorce on Roger Waters versus Roger Gilmore.
Right. Tears a lot of families apart.
Yeah, he's more of a Gilmore guy,
Yeah.
and I think Gilmore pushed Waters out, and I don't really like Division Bell's not my favorite,
Interesting.
and that was after Waters left.
Yeah.
So I would go early Floyd, which brings back like the early Syd Barrett stuff, which was really weird.
Yeah.
Piper at the Gates of Dawn,
Awesome.
which is out there.
Adam Hart Mother was in there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Man, that's good stuff.
Then Syd Barrett went schizophrenic, and they had to kick him out of the band, which
didn't
didn't happen in a lot of big bands back then.
He set his hair on fire on acid on stage.
Right.
Yeah.
He just died like 5 years ago or something. Like he was basically insane in the late 60s, and he somehow managed to outlive all these other rock musicians that got into drugs.
I like that choice. You were torn. You weren't. You said macro.
Well, I have a micro answer.
Okay.
And part of that is I guess I've always looked at music scientifically. So you sort of have your hits that is all agreeable. You know, the two examples we gave here, I don't think anybody would really argue with it. No one's going to say Stephen Stills is terrible. I don't want to ever listen to him.
And if they did, they'd be itching for a fight.
Right. I mean, they're
Mark
just
would whoop
like
'em.
We'd have to hurt him.
Yeah.
But like it's really, you can't even really argue it. I'm sure somebody would argue it because maybe their like horrible dad when they were little played it. But that sort of leads to my next point is so much of music is the time of life you're in when you discover it.
Yeah.
So you have I think like most people are probably 13-ish or when they start to come into consciousness about that sort of stuff, and then your parents introduce you to things, and then you sort of discover things on your own, and then you get to be a teenager, and then you do things that your parents hate, like the music that they would never listen to, and but I've found, especially with me, like places in my life, certain songs that most people would be like, that song's okay, I don't really care, but it means something because of the time and place that it happened, and it takes you back to this spot, and it gives you this sort of emotional burst. So I have this band that I've followed since I was in college.
I can't wait to hear this answer.
No one's ever heard of this band. I follow them to this day. But the name of the band is Red Wanting Blue.
Okay.
Ever heard of them?
I have heard of them. I can't think of a single song that they wrote.
So I went to Ohio University, and they were a fraternity band that started down there. So they would play on the back porch of the fraternity. And then they had a hit song in Athens, Ohio only, that they would play on the college radio stations. Then everybody knew who they were, again, very micro. But they moved to Columbus, and the band's changed. The lead singer's the same. Everybody else in the band came on at different points in life. And in the 90s, they had a very sort of grunge STP sound, very college rock, very raw, not refined. And and I've become friends with guys in the band because I follow them around. They were at Laurel Live last year, so there are certain things in the area.
Yeah.
Usually they do a 2-night House of Blues thing around New Year's Eve. This year they're going to be in the Goodyear Theater in Akron, but I've talked to the guys, and it was one of those things like you never really understood why they didn't make it, at least on the poppy charts. They used to play with OAR, and OAR made it on a couple songs, and so I don't know what happened. But for me, there's certain songs and things you listen to that just takes you back to a time that's fun, and you remember that. And they've probably 10 albums. It's changed over the years. It's more adult contemporary now because everybody's in their 40s. It's a little different sound, but because of that, I could probably take that with me. And since I guess I'm alone on the island, so no one else will really care. But if I did have somebody else on the island, they'd be like, "Dude, what is this? Like, what are you doing here?"
I like the analysis, though, because what you're doing is you're forgetting your troubles on the island. You're potentially shipwrecked for the rest of your life, and you're bringing yourself back to your college years. Right? Meigs County's finest over there. You're gonna be thinking about Halloween. And, Oh, no, I like it. That makes sense.
Who would you take?
So I think mine is going to be Bob Dylan. Because there's, there's a billion.
Is Bob singing the songs or other people covering it for him?
It's Bob. And
would that count?
Well,
a Bob song that Bob didn't sing, would that go into the catalog?
That's a great question. Hadn't thought about that.
But he has you covered either way, even if you allow that.
I mean, he's got 1,000 songs, and I think my analysis is, it's strong both lyrically and musically, and like the Floyd analogy that you made, there's a pre and post electric part to his career, right? But I'm a huge Fish fan. Do you guys ever hear of Fish?
Oh, yeah.
So
my brother-in-law is a big...
is he a Fish
Are you Fish heads? I mean,
we're Fish heads.
I mean, but that's sort of stolen from the Dead. You think there'd be like a Fish fin, or I guess Buffett's got that. I'm a kind of a Deadhead too, but Fish is so much... I've always thought the Fish was so much more than the Dead. Have either of you ever been to a Fish concert? I've not been to a Fish concert, no.
Can you do me a favor, both of you? And I will pay for your ticket if you do not love it. Go to the next time Fish is within a 2-hour radius of Cleveland. You know what? I'd say 3-hour radius. That covers Pittsburgh. That covers Detroit, right? Detroit, Columbus, right? If you go to a Fish concert and don't find it to be one of the greatest concerts you've ever been to, I will pay for your ticket and the first 4 beers that you've had.
Better yet, let's all go together.
I'm in.
We'll do it.
I'm in.
My brother-in-law would be so excited if I told him that.
Yeah.
Because he goes anytime I think his radius is much bigger. But he's done it since college. But I think it goes back to what I mentioned with the other band. So I think to him, that's Fish, and he's a jam band guy, so Widespread Panic and stuff like that. He enjoys all those bands because it brings him back to that period of time where
Is your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Matt Petche.
I know Matt Petche. Did he go to Brush?
Yes.
Man.
Did you go to Brush too?
I went to Brush.
Everybody goes to Brush.
South Euclid or Lyndhurst guy?
Both. I started in South Euclid. I went to Matt. Hey, I didn't know you were a Fish head, buddy. Matt.
Wow, since way back.
I think he might have been ahead of me. Do you know what year he graduated?
92.
All right,
91, 92.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, give me a call. Let's talk. Let's talk about Fish. Yeah. Has he gone to a whole lot of shows?
Oh yeah. I mean, he usually picks. They got little kids now, so they try to spread the time out a little bit. But he goes once every 2 years. I think I don't know where he just went. Denver, maybe the last time they were in Denver. Whatever.
That would be Dick's Arena. Yeah.
Oh, I got another one for you.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to hear or see Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary concert?
Yes, I have. It was on some streaming service like Hulu or something like that, or HBO. I don't know.
We had the CDs forever.
Yeah.
But looking for a video, I mean, it just had some hack a VHS job until finally they found some Japanese version a little while ago. But talk about the who's who of coming back and doing Bob Dylan songs.
Yeah.
And probably my favorite one, we all know My Back Pages, right? The Byrds made the hit with My Back Pages.
Yeah.
I was younger then. I'm older than that now. But I don't know if you saw this. it opens up with the lead singer from the Byrds singing. Then Petche comes out. Then Neil Young comes out. Then you hear this big guitar lead in, and it's Clapton, followed by Dylan, who has to do the verse with the mongrel dogs that teach, so he could be extra nasally, and then George Harrison. And they're all on stage together, and they're all singing through their nose, trying to sound like Bob. And it's like unfriggin' believable.
Isn't like Springsteen up there too, and like Lenny Kravitz, and like a bunch of like newer guys too?
No,
like there's like 100 people on stage at the end, wasn't there?
I don't think Bruce was there, but there's a whole bunch. But they had like Eddie Vedder was up there doing stuff. Tom Petty does a great remake of Everybody Must Get Stoned. Tracy Chapman.
Yes.
There's like even Johnny Cash, who had a great relationship with Dylan.
Yep.
He was up there singing a song. Unfortunately, June Carter Cash was with him. And if you ever have Christi back on the show, you can maybe get her to sing that rendition because, that was pretty bad. Pretty whiny, twangy song.
That was a great concert. I remember watching it on TV.
Fabulous.
All right. We could spend all day talking about, I mean, the whole Civic Club thing obviously was like totally irrelevant to the real meat of this conversation.
Music.
Right. I'm just joking.
Music unifies.
Civic Club's important. You're on it's the same shipwreck. It's the same desert island. Okay. And it's the same period of time. Could be 3 months, could be the rest of your life. You may bring with you any single author's entire bibliography. Who is the author?
Oh, this is embarrassing. I don't read for pleasure so much anymore. It's always
We won't judge you, Mark.
researching something like that. But Tom Clancy comes to mind, like Hunt for Red October and all those great ones. Those were books I couldn't put down. And
Good choice.
And
those will keep you busy too, because they're all like 1,000 pages long.
And I never read J.K. Rowling's, but I love the Harry Potter series. But let's go with Tom Clancy.
All right. Good. Justin?
Even worse than Mark. Way
possible?
worse. Yeah, I am not. I'm not a reader of much. Never took to reading so much.
Not a big fan of the letters.
Yeah, I mean, I love periodicals. I have like 3 or 4 magazines I subscribe to, some sports related, some, current events, newsworthy stuff. But honestly, the only author that I could say I've ever truly loved was from Chagrin Falls. And that'd be Bill Watterson.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that Calvin and Hobbes?
I mean, I read every Calvin and Hobbes book.
Oh my goodness!
I memorized them all. I mean, it was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. So I don't know if that's cool or not cool, but
I think it's cool.
I like your first answer. I like how that takes you from the shipwreck to a better time in your life.
Sure.
Right. Suddenly, childhood is there again.
Yeah.
Right.
How can you not join Calvin and Hobbes comics?
Somebody gave as their answer to that question, who sat in your seat, Justin, Mad magazines.
Okay.
Whoever the author was.
Alfred E. Newman.
No, there's some guy, like the founder of Mad Magazine.
You know who that was? Well, he had something to do with it. I don't know if it's the dude from Animal House. The guy that, welds the car and everything at the end. The crazy guy.
D-Day?
Yeah. He had...
I think you're right, yeah.
He had something to do with Mad Magazine.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Was he with National Lampoon? Because didn't they like sort of start those movies, and then they had their own little magazine thing too?
I believe so.
Yeah. Mine was Kurt Vonnegut. You guys ever read Kurt Vonnegut?
Yes.
Yeah.
Previously, as I mentioned,
Right.
I'm aware of him.
Not a fan of
and
letters.
I could probably answer a question on Jeopardy of a Kurt Vonnegut book, but yeah, no.
Okay. This is the next lightning round question. What is the habit or routine that you do consistently that has given you the most mileage?
This is actually easy because I am not a creature of habit.
Okay.
My job, I have to make people follow processes, and I write them and I do that stuff, but it doesn't apply to me, if you know what I mean. The one thing that I've done religiously is we have 2 great standard poodles. They're both black standard poodles. And I'm about 1.5 miles from Beartown Lakes. And so I drive down Taylor May. I take them to Beartown Lakes, and we walk every day. They have raincoats for when it's raining. They have LED collars for when the time changes and it's too dark and I hear the coyotes and stuff. We go every day, and there's another little thing that happens. As I make the turn, for this big booming voice, I'm really a mush. As I make the turn and the water's to my left, I look and the dog's usually prancing in front of me, and I look up and I say, "Thank you, God. Thanks for another day with these two beautiful dogs that are part of my family." And I do it religiously.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what it's helped me do, too, it extends over. Like, Christi and I take turns saying grace. And whoever says grace gets to pick whatever we're going to watch TV that night, if we're watching TV, right? God forbid, thank God, Dancing with the Stars is over. But anyway, at least once a month, I'll at the end of my little prayer, we always say something about what's going on. And it's like, I just want to thank you for what I have instead of what I want. We always want something. I want to hit the lottery. I got to find a new job. I got to do this or that. But it's like, hey, I got this roof over my head. I got my wife and a granddaughter and the kids and the dogs, and I could cook and I could do this, and we're doing good things with the Civic Club. It's like, how about being thankful for what you have? And I think we forget that. And, my dogs are older. I mean, the one just turned 11. The other guy's going to be 12, I'm doing everything I can to keep them around and healthy as long as I can. And when I think about it, I'll get weepy. But it's like, thank you for what I have.
I love that answer. I'm a firm believer in daily gratitude. And one of my favorite ones, so by the way, and I love Beartown Lakes, I've convinced my daughter, we go on walks over there, I've convinced my daughter that the reason they call it Beartown Lakes is because it was governed by a family of bears at one time. Yeah, and they had a whole city of bears that were their subjects. But my favorite grateful thought is that I am eternally grateful that I live in a time of anesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was not that long ago that when you needed surgery, it was like, hold the stick in your teeth. Right?
And maybe it'll give you a little ether.
Yeah.
While I saw off your arm.
Some mead.
Yeah. So no. So I thankful for living in a time of anesthetic and just not living with chronic pain.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people really take that for granted, I think.
Well, you were talking about history, right?
Yeah.
You watch some of those Revolutionary War things. It's like, holy cow. Oh, no problem. We'll just chop it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold this stick in your teeth.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ouch.
Justin.
Wow. Mark's was really tough to follow, to be honest. That was really tough to follow.
It's not a competition.
It's not, but it's just, I just don't even have a good response compared to that. I think similarly, I'm not overly habitual. I think I'm sort of blessed with an internal checklist. So throughout the day, I take on a lot, but I can reevaluate things rather quickly. So I guess if I do have one daily routine, it's sort of at a different time each day, but I take a moment to sit down and go through an internal checklist of, did you do this? Did you do this? Do that? Do this? Do that? And I think I'm pretty good, maybe Mark can confirm or deny, of following up on things and trying to keep abreast of what I'm involved in and keeping things afloat. So it's not really a habit in as much as it's just sort of a routine, and it's internal, so it's hard to describe, but I think I'm, given the amount of things that I sort of get roped into or volunteer for, that it's my only way to sort of survive the day.
Oh, I'll confirm it, Alex. He's really good at that, and I'll tell you what. I mean, I worked the day of prepping for the ox roast. Justin and one of our other members, Mike, took off. And I met him up at Centerville at 7 in the morning and dropped off something that I had, got for the club. And they had already been out to Chardon and picked up off all the beef, and they were unloading the beef. And then I got back there at 5, 6 o'clock after I finished working, and they were still there. And Justin was still there until midnight working. And then he was back the next day running the fun run. But I'll tell you what, we don't talk a whole bunch during the week in between. If it's something we have to, we will. We'll do a text or an email. I never have to ask him twice.
Yeah.
He always follows through and gives you a really thoughtful answer, and so you definitely do a good job with your
My internal checklist. Yeah.
Does something trigger the internal checklist? Like, is it like you? Is it a time of the day?
No, and it's one of those things where I think it took me a while to realize that not everybody does that.
It's a little OCD, actually.
No, probably extremely.
But in a good way.
No, probably extremely. I mean, you could probably ask anybody close to me about my level of OCD, that it's probably high. But yeah, one of the biggest things we run into with Civic Club and prospective members is, I just don't have a whole lot of time. And Mark and I will always say, like, well, we don't need all your time if you just can commit to this little subcommittee or this one event. But my first couple years being involved in it, it was hard for me to not say, well, I got 2 little kids and I got a full-time job and I got this and I put this many hours in and all that stuff. I think it's a skill that some of us may be blessed with, just to be able to compartmentalize. I get the
Carpe diem.
Yeah, there you go. I got the syllables flipped. But to be able to do that, and I guess that's, I've come to realize that I guess I've been blessed with that skill, that I can balance all that stuff out. Now, if you ask my wife, she probably would tell you that I could do a better job at this, that, or the other. But
of course, well, wife wouldn't.
While you're off doing your Civic Club stuff, meanwhile, Rome is burning.
Yeah. All right. Final lightning round question. This has been a 35-minute lightning round so far, so we're right on track.
Perfect.
What is something embarrassing about yourself that almost no one knows, and for extra credit, bonus points, that is it something that no one knows?
I don't know about the no one knows. I'll keep thinking on that one. Come back for the bonus points.
Well, it could be. It's the same answer. I'm just saying, if you want to go crazy extreme for the bonus points and reveal in this podcast something that no one knows.
If Molly was here when we were going deep down in the gutter, it might have something. But we're gonna have to skip that one.
Bring it back for it.
The first thing I could think of is I got into ice hockey late in my school career. It was when the Flyers were starting to win championships back then, and so I didn't learn how to skate until I was in 10th grade. Then I go out for the ice hockey team. So I went from being a really good street hockey, floor hockey guy to being so-so ice hockey because I couldn't skate as good as the other guys. So I damn near scored a goal on my own team. Thank God my friend Tony Manzo, the goalie, made the big save, one of his only saves, and it had to be against me. I'm heading toward the net, and some really good skaters are on my tail, and I know in any second they're going to just steal the puck from me and go in on a breakaway. So I have the brilliant idea that I'm going to launch this slap shot, and I'm going to try and hit it behind the net and camera it back up to the point where my wingers should be coming to get the thing. But it was on goal.
Might have gone in the
it was in there, but he made the big save and deflected it wide. And
oh, nice.
So I damn near scored on my own team. There's another one playing hockey. To build up a little bit of speed to skate backwards, you might turn your back to the play for a second or two, to go forward and then spin around. So I did that, and when I spun around, the whole team and went by me. I'm sitting there looking for the guy to hit, and they were already behind me going to the net. Talk about, and the whole crowd saw that. So they were a couple embarrassing sports moments in my career.
All right.
The only thing I got at the moment.
Still pretty manly, though. Those are good.
It's very manly.
Yeah. Yeah. Strategically chosen, Mark.
Yeah, right.
I try.
I think you cheated.
Justin?
Yeah, I
don't feel constrained to be manly.
No, I don't, because
Bare your soul.
the first thing that came to my mind, and I was sort of just laughing at Mark that he's got this manly hockey story, and the first thing that pops into my mind is that I really like I want to say dance shows, but not the celebrity one. Like the So You Think You Can Dance on Fox is the one I like a lot, because it's these kids that are very good dancers, and they have to learn routines every week and master them or whatever. And it's so the opposite of what Mark just said.
That's the funniest answer in the history.
Oh, boy, I got a Christmas gift for you, buddy.
Outstanding.
But I'll find myself, and can I caveat by saying, like, my daughter was really into dance when she was little, so it had nothing to do with it.
Listen, first of all, this is an equal opportunity show. Justin, we don't judge. We welcome
Lots of judging.
We welcome everybody.
And we support diversity.
We do. We support. No, I think that was a very honest and candid answer. And don't feel bad about enjoying the occasional dance show.
I'll get into it. I'll turn it on, and I'll be like, wow, that kid really nailed that contemporary routine. And I'll say things like that, and then laugh at myself. But I'm serious. I mean, the kid really nailed that contemporary routine.
Don't feel bad. I mean, I watch Dancing with the Stars with Christi. It's one of her favorite shows, and I watch it. And
is it really one of her favorite shows, Mark?
It truly is. It truly is. But now that I know that Dustin's into this stuff, we might have a new bond. It's possible.
Yes.
But after
his manly hockey story,
yeah,
he's trying to give me an olive branch.
But I got so mad a couple years ago watching it. It's like the All-Star game. This is no longer about voting for the best dancer.
Right.
It's voting for fan favorites, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, come on. Like this last year, we watched it. It's like, they voted off. They got, who was this country dude? Bobby Bones. I hate dancing. I might be able to dance better than him. I don't know. But it's like, how did Mary Lou Retton and all these other people get voted off the show and this guy won? Because they let the fans vote. It's like, Christy, you still going to watch next year? Yes. Rats.
I feel like this podcast has taken a turn in the last couple seconds, right? Justin, I want to thank you for opening the door.
Yeah, great. I opened the dance door.
So what's your favorite color tutu?
Let's end on that note, Mark. The one thing you want to leave our millions of listeners with about the Civic Club, where should they go? What are you guys working on? What should they know? Well,
you can simply Google, right? Isn't that great, Google? You don't say search anymore, it's right. Google. You go BainbridgeCivicClub.org and you'll get to our website. That's a little outdated. Facebook has most of the current content, and if we need to provide any more detail, I'll put a link into the page. So go to the Facebook page, Bainbridge Civic Club. You'll see our events. There's a little bit in there about what we do. And, one of the great things about living around here, right? Being a chamber member, all fellow chamber members, we really support our local businesses.
Yeah.
So I've been religiously going through, and anybody that's sponsored us or donated something to us, I go in and like their page. Not only as Mark, but I go in and like it as a Civic Club. And it's actually an idea I'm going to give Molly. We got to have Facebook Like Week and stuff where we get everybody to just take a couple minutes and go like each other. We spread that news a lot further. So just Facebook, Bainbridge Civic Club, and you'll find out what's going on.
As you probably know, we live in a great community, and we really support each other in a lot of ways. And so many people have been generous with their time and their resources and their money to help make us the club that we are. I'm glad that, like Mark said, that he's added to the Facebook page, so we have this information on there. Like with the holiday lights, we couldn't be where we are today without with the Jaycees and Chagrin. Lowe's Greenhouse donated poinsettias this year to the event. The fire department in Bainbridge opened up their doors to let people in. On and on and on we could go with all the people that make us a great club so that we can help out. But we're not satisfied with that, and we always want to do bigger and better things. So reach out to us. Let us know what you're in need of. Let us know what you need help with. We've got resources. We've got some money. We've got time. We've got people that care, and we want to make the community better if we can, and we want to help anybody that reaches out to us to any way we can.
Alex, if again, we had a little note, right? And it was like, let us know about other worthy organizations or projects around town that we should be involved with. And we're thinking high-level stuff here. We already told you where all the money goes, right? It's to scholarships and to the food bank and to this and that. But it's like maybe each year we pick one charity or cause.
Yeah.
And we pair up with them. And we help them. And at the same time, by doing that, people will learn more about the help we're trying to do, and we'll get more help from the community. And one group, I guess we could let the cat out of the bag. We didn't thank. Definitely the big shout out to the Jaycees. They've been helping with the Christmas trees and stuff for years. But we have this super secret Bainbridge Civic Club Wives Club.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you what, not only do they put up with us being gone on weekends and doing this year, if it wasn't for some of the wives and Justin's mother showing up at the 4th of July, running the counter, those events would have flamed out if it wasn't for them. And we're doing a really nice thing. Next week, we're doing a little thank you, little recognition for the wives, and going up to our friends Chuck up at Chuck's with Yolanda and Kurt. We're going to do a little beer and wine tasting and really say thank you to our wives and other family members that help the club do the stuff that they do.
I got to tell you, I love what you guys are doing for the community. And what's really beautiful about this organization is that if you think about it, the time that any one of us, whether it's the three of us in this room or the people listening to this podcast, spend totally committed, like deep work kind of time in their jobs or with their families or on some other project, some palpable, measurable result comes out of it. And then when you bind together a group of community members, 10, 20, 50 of them, all committing time at the same time, it really is one of those, the rising tide raises all ships situations. And so you guys are putting these great events together, this ox roast and the pancake breakfast, all these other things. I really want to see a little village versus township rivalry happen. I'd love to see that. But the point is, we all get so wrapped up in our busy lives, and we forget that we commit a ton of time and investment into those other things, our families and our work and our hobbies. Spend a half hour, spend an hour periodically working for your community. And what you're doing is you're bunching up your commitment with 10, 20, 50 other guys and girls. And you're creating a movement. You're creating a lot of energy and a lot of momentum. And that really is, I think a lot of magic happens in those times and in those kinds of organizations. So I really commend you guys for doing that. And I would love to see one of your goals accomplished just by this podcast. So you wanted like 10 to 15 new members this year. If you're listening to this podcast, go to the website, which is more time.
You could go BainbridgeCivicClub.org, or you could go to Facebook Bainbridge Civic Club. Either way, you'll find links and ways to contact us.
Sign up. It's $10. It's nothing. It's you and your buddy at Starbucks. Contribute a little bit of time and make your community better. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it as soon as I get home tonight. And you guys will be seeing me at the next event. And I hope those of you listening at home, I see you there too. Mark, Justin, thank you very much. This was awesome.
Thank you. We really appreciate the time.
It was fun, just like everybody said it would be. You did a great job, and thanks for doing this for the community. Another big thing for the community.
Yeah.
You mentioned, too, it's like, you know what? I don't know how many friends that I made by joining this club that I would not have ever met. Just, it's just like playing sports, right? Especially adult sports. You get done playing, right?
Yeah.
What do? You usually have a sponsor. You go have a couple beers or something with them, and you get to know them. And, I've gotten some great friendships out of just trying to do something good for the community.
Yep.
And we'll talk off air. We would love to have you come to an event.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm sold. And that's not just the Christmas ale talking. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.